Thank you, Melly. There, it's nice hearing from her again. Obviously, she's been just keeping busy behind us. Obviously, talking to you guys in Twitch chat, Twitter, Facebook, all of the other various routes to people to get involved. But back to the action, back to the games. First game done and dusted. Virspro walking away with a clean slate to begin with, which I'm pretty sure they're looking to maintain throughout this season. I'm not sure what their next matchup is. I'm sure we could head over to the WGLEU.com site and check it out. But for now, we need to look towards the next game. So, two teams that, with the names they're currently under, weren't in previous seasons. What can we expect from Schoolbus and CPlay?
So CPlay have really joined us for this season as a brand new team. They were previously known as WSD Gaming, qualifying first through Go for What. So extremely strong team. They've been doing a lot of practice, putting a lot of hard work in. I'm expecting big things from them. They came first in the recent Go 4. Extremely promising, I think, is really the word I look forward to using for them. Hopefully not in the same respect as I use it for GG Well Played, who were promising for a lot of the time, but kind of let us...
You put your faith in.
I put my faith in a lot, and they just didn't quite meet expectation. The same with Spale. But these guys are looking very good indeed. I think maybe the top team coming in from the new teams going forwards. Schoolbus without Stalker, that's the biggest change. That Stalker without Povel, they're along with Apwell, their key player, their star player, and without Stalker, their team captain, their shot caller, it's certainly going to be a massive test if they can maintain that top 2 spot, which they kept for the whole of season 1 to 3. But still very strong. They've still got a lot of good players in there, showing pretty consistent results in Go 4s and stuff like that. So I'm expecting them just to progress as we go through the season, and definitely, well, almost certainly going to be heading into the top 6 at the grand finals, though. Aggressiveness not too high, not too good, but CPlay, you can see they are an untested team, so we are not exactly sure where they will be. This is just kind of preliminary standard results from what we've seen in them so far. Decision making is still fairly low because they're a new team. Fight coordination as well, low because of the team, but because they got the skillful players, it actually is quite high. Aggressiveness is quite high as well. Creativity lacking a little bit, but certainly not a weak stat overall.
Yeah, we're just waiting to see what they can bring pretty much to the plate. It's not anything to be insulted by. It's more just we need to find out what they can do. There's obviously some names in there that everyone will recognise still, the fairly well-known members within the World of Tanks community. But as I want to kind of look towards Schoolbus, because there was a lot of drama surrounding these guys, and they are now missing someone who we will always remember as certainly a personality within the scene. And who's been stepping into that sort of role?
It's second in command now, first in command, Arclit. He's been around the scene for a long time. He's got a lot of experience. If you remember back to Red Rush Unity days, he was the artillery player there, and he's been extremely strong and extremely cool-headed. If you ever meet and talk to him in person, he's very calm. He's very level-headed, and I think that's gonna be good for that team. Stalker was a little bit too volatile, and he caused so many problems. And it perhaps could be said for their overall standing after the grand finals, where they didn't even make it out of the group stage of being beaten to the post by Lemming Train. Certainly not a good result when they are considered to be a top 4 team in the world. Yeah. Winning season 1 of the WGL, second in season 3, season 4, season 2 they didn't really turn up. They had a few issues with visas, so I think they would have come second or first there against First Pro.
There's no question in that. They've always been a very strong team. It's just they were volatile. It's the best way to say it. If something went wrong, as soon as we came back from camera and you saw the teams, it was Stalker, shouting at them, and they were shouting back. It wasn't just him,
like hitting Applewell, pretty much. It was like violence. It was pretty much. It was an aggressive man, and maybe not a great approach towards your teammates.
You want a calm leader. You want to be able to kind of have this nice attitude within the team. And it may change, a lot of their gameplay style, a lot of the way they play, a lot less mistakes. We don't know yet. Obviously, another untested element towards this season. But it's going to be difficult to see what to really expect from them, because as you said, how can we read into this? One player can make such a big factor, especially when it's someone like Stalker, who is very talented, let's say. I don't want to ask you the question, Arclit, what tank does he generally play in?
He was the artillery player. He's extremely good, and he was almost as good as Eclipse at one point, who's the artillery player for Na'Vi, right. Which was well, his top team then.
Yeah.
But he usually plays the IS3 now. He's extremely proficient in that tank. He actually ended up winning the Season 1 against Virtus Pro with the IS3 on Ensk with that kind of railroad mouse trick, otherwise known as angling, or I'm not sure what people call it these days, but mouse trick is when you're obviously around the corner and you just get shot in the side, and I think he absorbed something around the region of 4,000 damage.
God.
Which really allowed Team Dignitas then to push in and do the damage. So yeah, heavy tank player. When it's not heavy tank map, usually sits in the tier 1, directing his team, which I think is a good thing. And you know,
this was the point I wanted to bring up, because
yeah.
Stalker's always been a tier 1 player, generally, to my eyes. So if Arclit's, you know, maybe a heavier tank, will he be as easy to command from that position, or might that be a struggling point now?
It's going to be a struggling point. At one point in every single, you know, for 90% of the games you play, it might not be a problem, but in that one
moment,
one time, it does matter. For instance, at the grand finals, when it was Na'Vi versus Unity, 1 and 2 from the CIS and RU region. It was on Himmelsdorf, and it was one of the IS3s, the team captain. He basically directed his team the wrong direction. What happened? One should have gone back towards the middle, and then one should have gone forward, so they can kind of box him in. But because he was playing the IS3 and he was so in the moment playing himself, he couldn't direct his team properly, and they all went the same direction. And he ended up just losing because of, well, not losing but drawing because of the tier point rules. So yeah. At some point, it's going to bite you in the arse.
It definitely could. I think this is a worrying factor, because he's a great player, and I'd hate to see his skill level either drop because of, obviously, now he has to focus on the bigger picture, or, you know, the team suffer because of, you know, him not being able to lead in that aspect. But I'm hoping there's a good balance they can find to this, and they can, you know, kind of find their own way of playing. And I do look forward to seeing what they can bring here. Certainly a team who've been very talented, a team that I've loved watching throughout the previous seasons, but you know, these changes can either be the best thing in the world for you, or they could be your downfall, which is the main thing here that could kind of cost him a couple of points. Because at the very beginning of, let's look back to Season 2, they were the team on the same par as Virtus Pro Neuron. They were such a prolific side at times; it was unbearable to watch. You know, and that was my favourite matchup between the two. You'd see the anti-strats coming in, this perfect, you know, play between them, but I'm hoping they can still find that. But then again, it does also open up the possibility of newer teams being able to compete. So I will look over towards CPlay now, a team that I noticed some of the names, I still know some of them. What can we expect from these guys? Because they're a little bit of an unknown element to my eyes, at least.
Well, we can just head over to your screen. We can see their lineup for them. Generally very good team. You can see
it's this man I'm looking at.
Yeah, Dr. Toy was he's been in and out of a lot of teams, and hopefully he can find his feet in this team and you know, find his place in general. But some of them are well known in the community. Some of these players, Ruster, for instance, he's actually playing for Odin Mortis at one point, now TTM Gaming. So he's very experienced. We got some new players to the league, the Killzor, Treves. They have not been around, but generally these guys are proficient, hard-working, decent players. They've been training a lot. They've been putting the effort. They've been putting the hours in. They realize the responsibility from their sponsors, which is on their shoulders, and they are at the moment meeting expectations in the scrims, in the battles, in the go fours. Whether that translates to when all the pressure's on them, for instance, now against Schoolbus, we're gonna have to wait and see, because obviously, yeah, okay, you're gonna have some pressure in scrims, but actually, when you're playing for real points in a real league, it's certainly another.
It's a little bit different, isn't it?
It's another game entirely. So yeah, Schoolbus with their first matchup, Virtus Pro with their second matchup. It's a pretty harsh set of matches to go first. This is Schoolbus. You can see without a Povl, without Stalker, a little bit of a sparse lineup. Only 9 players. Obviously, the team's allowed 11. There's your team captain Arclit on your screens right there. But it's a very strong team in general, and with the likes of Red Samba, it's going to be an interesting series for them for sure. But yeah, what can I say? Those are our 12 teams we'll be seeing in the season. Even on Saturday, we had one team joining us. That's Drooling Leprechauns right at the bottom there, the 12th team, replacing replacing GG Well Played, who didn't manage to qualify. They didn't manage to get everything sorted in time. So new team, as I said, full of Finnish players who are generally starting to get themselves well known within the community to be some of the top World of Tanks players. I mean, really, Spale, Freefall now, Drooling Leprechauns. These guys are sick. I mean, the Finnish players are the Swedes of Counter-Strike at the moment for World of Tanks. They are just on another level and really starting to prove themselves. I'm hoping that one of those 2 Finnish teams is going to be in that top in that top positions. We'll have to wait and see, but generally very impressive. Evil Panel, we can have a look at them for a second. They've had a few changes as well. Quite a lot of changes.
Yeah,
a couple of their players.
That looks like a very different lineup.
A lot of their players have gone to Denial Esports, formerly known as Lemming Train, now being picked up at Denial Polish organisation. So congratulations to them. But New Motor Show is going to be heading up that lineup still. That extraordinary in the MX-5100, the T-69 is still a brilliant player. So I think Evil Panda Squad need to have some work, needs to get the synergy going, because Evil Panda Squad was a team that was known for consistency because they had that consistent lineup. You know, Sony, Xenef, Multi-Show, all these guys have been around for a very long time in the same team, now all split up a little bit. So have to see how that works out. And on top right, we got Suba.
Yep. So we'll check through these guys.
Just see what you did there. Check through these guys. The Czech Republic team, Asuba, once again joining us. They're in season 1 and 2, not doing so well. Then they again lacked a little bit consistency. They had a good start, but just didn't manage to continue that roll of momentum going forward. So I think we can expect some big things out of them. Obviously, they've got a few changes, but Voodoo's is still at the top, still the man to be looking at. Slavistas 972 joining us for this season as well, but Mirage still in there, Los Coscos still in there, KKT Gambo still in there, Fluky a new guy, and certainly Unicum, so certainly going to be having to carry his team as much as he can. TCM, we can have a quick jump onto them. You're generally German, but got a few players here and there at the top.
Yeah.
What have we got? Sharthak, everyone knows him, still Mojo. On the analysis desk was playing for Kasna Crew. You got Eurofish, who was the team leader for Spala, who didn't manage to qualify for this season. And we got Magus in there. So, like, it's 3 team leaders in that tier. I have no idea how that's going to work. I'm not sure.
It's going to be interesting,
I'm not sure who's calling those strats at all.
Yeah.
But
a little bit of a power struggle.
I think so. I think it's going to be a hard season for them to find that synergy. Maybe they've already found it. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm very impressed with this lineup. I think generally this is the strongest Oda Mortis, now TCM gaming lineup we've seen in a very, very long time. I think they're going to be doing very, very well going forwards once they sort out those issues. Elian actually left Lemming Train, now Denial Esports.
Yeah, I want to look at their lineup. That's why after you mentioned it, it's going to be weird looking at these guys without his name up there. It's a little bit confusing to me. You know, such a star player, it made so much of a difference to now not be there.
Yeah, he moved to Kasna. You can check out the Lemming Train Facebook page, and he's got a Polish post up there explaining why he left. It's to do with, you know, he wants to train, wants a little bit more serious, but being picked up in Denial Esports, I think this team is going to be a lot more serious and very, very strong lineup there indeed. We got the usual faces, Meritorious, Carmen. Going forwards, we got Puzzling in there.
Infamous Carmen.
Infamous Carmen. Indeed, a very steadfast, very passionate man. But this is the team Elian went over towards. And also Runes is back, the infamous German player. He was in season 1 and 2. Somewhat said to have given Kansas Crew the boost they needed in terms of morale in season 2, where they came third. A very cool guy, skilled, one of those guys you kind of want if you're in the front line in the battlefield next to you, because he's going to be he's going to give you that motivation. So I'm expecting big things from that team with that change with Elian and with Runes in. So you had a little bit of an overview of the more recent teams coming into league. Obviously, you can check all of them out on eu.wleague.net. Check all the teams out, and as I said before, all the standings we do head through. But we're almost ready to get in game. As I said, that's going to be Schoolbus versus CPlay.
It's weird saying Schoolbus to me. I'm not used to it yet.
You usually hang around school buses a lot, don't you? First joke of the season, and I get that face.
Not sure if it's an appropriate joke for a show, but nice to see Ollie wants to get fired earlier in the season. So guys, apply if you want to have a casting job. Just tweet out they call me Pansy and laughter WOT. It's pretty easy. He doesn't do much all day. It's cute.
True.
But let's get back to the action. Obviously, Schoolbus against CPlay. Now, first map I believe is going to be Himmelsdorf, winter version. What can we expect from these two on this?
I haven't. Well, I've seen obviously Schoolbus play it quite a few times. Synergy play it quite a few times. Pretty smart players on this map. They like to go a little bit aggressive, but make sure every kind of angle is covered and sorted out.
Yep.
I've never really seen CPlay on this one before. It's going to be interesting how they play this map. As I said before, Himmelsdorf is a map where you want to be getting your basics down. If you can play Himmelsdorf well, you can play almost any map well, including the open maps like your steps and your Prokhorovkas. It's very intuitive, very clever, very harmonious. It's probably one of the really balanced maps in the game. It's extremely balanced and pretty much a 50-50 for both north and south. But I want to be looking towards that hill. We'll see CPlay be going towards the hill because I know Schoolbus don't really like that so much. Also the middle area, how's that changed? 8 road maybe, 2-3 line might come into play. All these kind of factors come in with a new team.
Yeah, and certainly a proven point on the one of the best maps to witness. I can't wait to see how they'll play, and they've got a strong opponent. I still feel this was one of the strongest maps back in the day for the previously known as Dignitas side. I used to love their performances on here. Hardly been called out on it, and I used to love watching them obviously against Virtus Pro especially. So looking forward to that, and hopefully the admin can give the teams a nudge and sort everything out, because we want to get into the action. And where's your predictions on this one?
I mean, just going on previous results, Schoolbus has to kind of take it.
Yeah.
Even with the changes, they are a proven team. 90% of them are a proven team. Yeah, we got Dead Hunt who's new. For instance, Life for Surf is new as well. But they are a proven team, whereas CPlay are brand new to the league. They haven't played before, so definitely going to be a challenge for them. But what a team to come up against first, and if they can even take a couple of maps against them, they're certainly going to be feared by the rest of them. But honestly, hearing what I've heard from the other players in the league and the other teams in the league, they're all worried about CPlay. They're all worried about the work they're putting in. They're all worried about the players they've got in that team. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see CPlay taking this one. I don't think it's going to be 3-0, but I think a 3-1 is certainly possible.
Yeah, it's... Do you think Himmelsdorf could be one of the maps they could actually take here, or is this maybe a little bit too much of a stretch?
I think it's not a stretch. I think it's certainly possible. As I said before, this is kind of the map you want to train. Like, if you have all 7 maps in the map list, and you like, oh, which one do we train first? You kind of got to tick off Himmelsdorf before you tick off any of the rest of them.
This could be a map that we will see
Certainly.
possible issues arise on. Well, we are now moments away. Hopefully the teams do begin this one. As obviously, once again, you're staring at our face for absolutely ages, which no one really enjoys. We'll bring back Melly soon enough, don't you worry. And yeah, so you're predicting probably this one CPlay, the rest over towards Schoolbus?
Yeah.
Or a closer game on this one?
I'm going to have to say it's going to be close games on all. I'm hoping CPlay doesn't go for like the standard new team rush.
Yeah.
I think they have to play a little bit more clever against Schoolbus to win it.
Yeah, I think I'm of the same opinion. You know, even Virtus Pro back in the day had this random tactic that they used to go and rush on this map, and it never caught those guys out. So I'm hoping there's a little something here. I'm hoping there's a beginning soon. Tank choices will be made. Obviously, this is a blind pick. Normally, we'd be looking at that, but staring at us instead. So what sort of tanks do you think we've got coming up? It's going to be Himmelsdorf, so not much can be said about it, really.
No, I think 3 5100s, 2 IS3s, or 3 IS3s, 2 5100s is... I think more the latter is probably more likely. Although we saw in the 3 5100s be starting to play it a little bit more, so I could see a bit of both. Maybe the 110 is going to come in. We'll have to wait and see. Not a massive fan of that tank. Maybe we've seen a little bit of a change, but no, I don't think so. As we've seen before, 5100s and the IS3s have been picked on city maps so far. 5100s and IS3 is going to be picked on Himmelsdorf. I don't think we're going to see any changes in the season. Obviously, 9.1's out on the test server. I played it, and there's no change to those tanks at all, so I don't see why there'd be anything different there. There's no tanks added, so we won't be seeing any tanks added to the pool, which could be taken on maps such as this.
Well, I think we are seeing a couple of the tank choices coming in. No surprises made just as of yet. I think we kind of found the answer to the 3 5100 or 3 IS3 and the 2 vice versa question we used to ask. Generally gone the 5100 way, and it looks as though it's kind of matching up like that.
Sure, it certainly has 3 5100s IS3 times 2 and 2 tier 1s. That's for the side of Schoolbus. We're still waiting on CPlay to pick all their lineup. But so far they've picked that 3 5100s. I imagine that's going to be with the 2 IS3s and the 2 tier 1s. Victor and Dr. Toy are going to be playing as two tier 1s. And for Schoolbus, 2 tier 1s are played by Dark God Zim and Positive. So Positive, strange a little bit. I think he was one of the IS3 players at the time. I think if I was going to put him in any tank, I would say it's a heavy tank. I wouldn't put him in anything else. He's still got a few issues to really fix before he takes something like an MX 1390.
Well, I think we've got one of the best maps to see if Arclight can actually really do well leading the team in an IS3 as well. This is a very proving map. It can have. I look back, for example, at Lemming Train, who have different squads of leadership. They literally had every single player being able to make the calls. Elian being the main one, surprisingly to me. He is the main leader who's obviously left now, but they'd have different squads almost. So the heavy tanks, if they're near to each other, they'd be their own squad essentially. They'd make the calls between each other. I'm interested to see if he can keep an overall image of this. Keeping in mind every single player and every single small factor to be able to get this one working. But actually, CPlay might have gone for a slightly varying lineup here, if I'm reading it correctly. I'm not too sure yet. They're not in the game just as of yet. I'm thinking this could be a bit different. And if it goes down the way it is, that's certainly a talking point for you. Yeah,
they got the 5100s at the moment. It's kind of like almost a mirror of what we've seen from Red Tide now, which is now, I guess, GG well played, although there's been so many changes to that team. I guess you can't really call it Red Tide, but Red Tide at the time, they picked 4 5100s, IS3, 2 tier 1s. They got a lot of burst damage there. Problem is the consistent damage the IS3 has, and kind of you want 2 IS3s as well, because you have the hull down position in the middle and you have a hull down position towards the left, which you can absorb a lot of damage with the IS3s, which you won't have.
I don't like these kind of...
Hopefully they have a plan. I'm hoping they have a plan.
You'd hope so. So CPlay are ready. I think they're sticking with this. What do you think the plan is?
Well, they're going to have to use their burst damage and their speed. They can also take control of the hill without too much worry, because it does take like 44 seconds to get up the hill. It takes like a minute to get up the hill, so they'll be reloaded by that time, so they can send 3 5100s up the hill and an IS3 and a 5100 somewhere else. But yeah, they need to be using that burst damage, making sure they don't screw up the reloads.
That's a very good point.
Because if they're all in reloads and the IS3 which will get focused down first, then Arclit and Armorly can just have a field day with those IS3s, just unloading 390 average damage with that BL9 122mm. So yeah, I would just be careful. I would say CPlay has to focus down the IS3s first, make sure they get consistent damage out, and then just make sure that they maybe get one of those 5100s out if they can. Because those 5100s will be reloading, they just have enough HP to ward off the 3 5100s from Schoolbus.
Well, there's a lot of factors to CPlay's game now. A team who's coming into this relatively new to my eyes, and who the teams have been saying to keep their eyes on, but they're playing quite a numbers game here, coming in with that many 5100s if they do roll with this. Obviously, reloads being a major factor to that battle, and if Arclit reads into it, which I'm sure he will, that could be a chink in the armor almost. So guys, we're now moments away of getting into our second game of Playday 1. It will be Schoolbus up against CPlay, and I'm certainly looking forward to this, especially on the beautiful winters Himmelsdorf in the north for CPlay. They'll be looking to take down Schoolbus in the south in red. And what are your predictions here?
I think a couple of 51s up towards the hill, maybe even a fast push up with the MX 5100s down the 1-2-3 line. We have to wait and see. CPlay can either do a quick rush and they can catch some tanks out from Schoolbus, or they can play it smart and stay back and not go for the rush, but have another quirky idea which they can use those 4 5100s effectively. But it does look like they are going to be sending some tanks up towards that hill.
Well, let's see if it pays out for them. I'm very interested to see how this works. And whether or not they can actually make it really stick here. And this looks like, actually, Schoolbus are going for a bit of an all-in tactic here towards the railroad, at least to begin with.
Yeah, they they sent quite a lot of tanks up there. I think that's pretty much just because they were expecting a 1-2-3 line push, like I said, was one of the viable tactics for CPlay. So send all your tanks over there, expecting that, and if they don't do it, you've still got tanks in the most important part of this map, the train line. Maybe even push up there yourself. The Victor is going to play very well in that tier 1. He's already spotted out Arclit, but Shanish and Dark Gods in first haven't been spotted. And then towards the left, you've got Live for Surf. Heading up towards the left side. Victor maybe not in the right position to spot him out, but I think he does, so Live for Surf is spotted. But still, you can see CPlay are pretty happy to push up that hill, keep Jerry Can up in towards the A4 line, make sure that they get the shots off there, kind of defend the base a little bit from the 6 line and from the 1-2-3 line.
Well, I've got to say it, Schoolbus are getting some real ground behind them, whereas CPlay, as you can see on the minimap, they're taking up the position within the hill and looking for that. Vector will have a bit of a face full of tanks in any second now. Surely going to go down. No real surprise there. Jerry Can and co will be behind. And you can see the dismount from the hill coming in for the CPlay side. All of their tanks now making their way back down because, well, they know there's trouble coming through. Arclit will find their tier 1. And it looks like already Schoolbus have the early advantage.
Yeah, tier 1's very important on this map, and Victor going down will slightly reduce the chance of capping from CPlay. It'll be slightly harder for them to go forwards without that extra dimension of pressure they can, and Arclit's going to surge forwards. Apoel in support with that AMX 5100. It will be a 2 versus 2, but you can see Dekilzor already on the rotate background and A7 with that 5100, so Arclit might take a fistful of damage as he peeks up around here.
Well, at the moment, Dekilzor seems to be waiting more than anything. Jerry Can and Nervax also playing the waiting game here. This is going to come down to one push if Schoolbus fancy their chances. You can see they are now literally moments away from each other. Arclit edging closer, but there's a feeling there might be someone waiting on the other side, and it will be Dekilzor, as you mentioned, being the one to receive. And if they push too far, Jerry Can and Nervax will kick into gear. But at the moment, Schoolbus taking a little bit of their time, kind of mustering themselves up together. See him there leading the way in the tier 1. He'll be spotted out first of all there. They'll be at least wasting a shot going for Jerry Can and the others if they're not careful. And Nervax is way in the background. There we go. One shot used. Smart play, and obviously not going to be completely open towards a push. But what are the plans here from Schoolbus, do you think?
I mean, that was a really smart play by them, sending Dark Gods in first. That's really a class act for them. Losing a tier 1, but they've already taken Victor down. They have to definitely retreat. They don't want to be going against Jerry Can and Nervax, who were both spotted in that situation. So, yeah, okay, even if it's 2 versus 2, the tanks that are standing still will get the first shots on. They'll be able to do the first bits of damage with the 5100s. That's very important. So they've either got to go all in or try something different. And indeed, they are going to be rotating back around, joining Live for Surf as they head up the D line. Maybe try in a different direction. So they've only got one tier 1 left. Positives over towards the right, so they can't go for that sneaky little indentation capping pressure. But CPlay, not so aggressive. They're sitting back a little bit and making sure that they kind of get all the bases covered. But indeed, it looks like Schoolbus are going to be looking for a peak and looking for another win.
Yeah, we'll see how this is going to go down, because Ruster is on top of the hill, but he's not really doing much work. I don't think he's even fully aware this is happening. He could do some damage, but I think it's going to come down to the Kazilzor to actually really hold on to this, because right now he's going to be surrounded. They're even flanking around the back side of this. Jerry Can and Nervax will be laying in wait here. You can see the push-up beginning from Schoolbus. Their execution looking on point. They look surrounded for now, but I'm sure they can battle their way through, as Arclit now is moving forward with Shanish as well. He's pushing a little bit, Armley there. And now around these corners, wait a hell of a lot of tanks, so they need to be careful with this execution. What's the plan here?
Well, they can't push forwards. I think that would be a mistake. You've still got the dead zone in the 5100 who's on the hill. Yep. Dekilzor will be able to peek around. I think the best thing that they can hope for is maybe just send 2 tanks around here, 1 tank around here, and try and take down Jerry Can and Nervax. But Ruster's kind of on the hill and he won't be able to get the shots down, so What Schoolbus really needs to do is synergize, find a couple of weak spots, and then go in for the push. There's no point doing anything else. Ruster does punish Surf there, taking him down to 1-1-2-6. Nice little shot from him. Not so much damage, pretty much minimum damage there from the SA-47 and the MX-5100. But Arclit and Applewell starting to look a little bit itchy. But honestly, I don't think Schoolbus can push in this fashion. What they need to do is put some pressure on in the cap, with the IS-3 blocking the tier 1 or the 5100 blocking the tier 1, and then see if CPlay buckle under that pressure and really come up with something like that. But also, they got to keep that tier 1 over towards the right side. Losing Dark God Zim hasn't allowed them to do that, because then CPlay can just rotate off the hill and go in their own cap.
Well, as you said, lots of options here. Arclit now the mastermind behind Schoolbus. Let's see if he can pull these guys together. They've got in a great position. CPlay playing the passive game, not taking any initiative, even after being clearly shown Schoolbus's cards there. A couple of shots coming through from Ruster. He's in a great position. Surf is taking a big chunk of damage, actually, and Ruster doing a good job. Shanish receives a couple of shells, and this slight lack of knowing where to go or where to push, or which option to take, might be starting to hurt the previous Dignitas, now Schoolbus side. They're receiving damage, they're taking their time, and this hesitation could cost them a little bit of HP here.
Yeah, they're definitely down a little bit. Shanish is down to 1-1-3-4. Surf taking another big hit down to 5-8-8. I don't think he can really get himself into this situation. Ruster has got the accuracy on the SA-47, but he will be running out of shells. He's already probably run out of shells. Armley does connect a shell onto Killzor. That was a little bit of a push from Arclit, who managed to land a kill into shot into Killzor, but it doesn't take that much damage. Only down to 1-0-7-7. But Ruster almost certainly going to be on reload. That's going to allow CPlay not very many options for at least the next 30 seconds and 2 minutes and 32 seconds left on the clock. What can CPlay do to take this win, or are they going to sit passively? Because at the moment, Schoolbus is definitely dictating the state of play, even with the HP advantage.
Well, I feel they were dictating the state of play, but I feel they've almost stopped, and it does seem as though they might be starting to mount the attack, or at least kind of coming together here down that 5 and 6 line. Ruster is coming off the hill as well, so maybe there's a plan in this for Schoolbus. With only 2 minutes and 6 seconds left, if they want to do something, they're going to have to do it fast, because right now CPlay are dug in quite comfortably, and I'm not sure if they'd even bother pushing around. I think it's safer for them to play this one smart and wait it out.
Yeah, I think Schoolbus is not going to be pushing forwards at all. They just don't want to go into a trap, and regardless of CPlay's move, it wasn't a winning. We still got a minute 40 seconds, so something can still happen. But their tactic so far wasn't a winning tactic. You can't win on it unless the other team pushes. So you have to really question if there's any point to it. Let's hope CPlay tries something aggressive here, but with Dark God positive even right in the southern area of the map, it's going to be hard for them to take him out. And without the tier point rule, you obviously need to hit down that tier 1 to take the win.
Well, it'd be nice to. I think we need some clarification on whether it's 1 point each or 0 points each, because, as you said, even though there will be a big engagement, I don't think there's quite enough time for that tier 1 to be found. Nervax does receive some damage, but we keep telling you guys, I don't think there's going to be any way the Schoolbus will actually lose out here. But here comes the push in anyway from CPlay. 52 seconds left. They're going to try and do the damage. Armley goes down fairly quick, so still time to do this. Surf already damaged. Proceed another chunk, and here we go. Arclit really the last man standing around it. Gets another big bit of damage, but round the back here comes the cleanup squad. Applewell moves in. Shanish as well. Jerrycan takes a double shell to the face, but where's the reply? Is there any chance that tier 1 of positive will be found? I don't think so. And the same can be said for Dr. Tor. He'll be playing to stay alive right now, and unless either of these teams has some perfect foresight, I'm not sure they can do much. Applewell backs away. Ruster into Killzor now, fully reloaded and ready to go. Just looking for the enemy. They
did actually win that engagement, CPlay. Those 5100s really did play a crucial role, because Applewell couldn't take down Jerrycan and take the tier 8 tanks to 2-all. So a good move by them, proving that their lineup works, but it will be a draw. No tier points going, no score going to either team. It's a draw. Applewell doing 1.7k at the top for Schoolbus and Ruster, the team captain of CPlay, doing 1,560. So, yeah, they proved themselves there, CPlay. Good focus fire, good coordination. I think they had a couple of communication issues, but generally their 450-100 lineup worked because Apoel couldn't get himself in the game quick enough. But that was more of a test of concept as opposed to anything else. And they knew they couldn't win it. They just wanted to try it because they knew they couldn't lose it at the same time.
Okay, so it's time to start looking up towards the next map, really, because I don't think we replay these. I think we just move straight on to the next one, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll be thinking about what the next map will be in a second. But let's look back over some of the moments in that. As you said, good focus fire. But let's talk about the initial plan here, because as we know now, the Schoolbus do have a new leader. Was that really leading enough for Arclit? Was that enough of a solid start? It worked well. There's no doubting it. But was there any sort of final plan there, do you think?
I guess there would be the final plan if there was an extra tier 1. They could have gone for the cap.
Right.
But it was good that they went aggressive and they kind of they were positively going forwards. They were getting all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, made sure that they had every single angle covered before they went forwards, which is a sign of a good team at the end of the day. But when they had the point of no return, they didn't go over the line because they knew that CPlay was on the hill and they could get the shots down from the hill and rotate off the hill. Those 5100s, they had the kills were there as well, and the tanks in the corner. It would have just been very hard for them to push in and win that engagement in general, even if it was 5 against 4, because of the positional advantage CPlay had. But as I said before, CPlay weren't in a particularly a winning situation there. They basically stayed back on their half of the map, and that's not a winning tactic. But maybe if Schoolbus hadn't been so aggressive at the beginning, it could have been different. They could have had a different meta, and they
maybe
didn't want to
catch
give it
someone
away.
out there or what
Precisely,
have you.
yeah.
So maybe, a little bit of tweaking to Schoolbus's strategies there could be seen maybe later in the season. Maybe executing that a minute later rather than going for the all-in down the railroad that we saw there. Really, it was quite this fast presence. But then again, I guess we need to talk about the choices the CPlay made there, because there was that massive stack of 5100s. Did it work for them, or did we not really see it under pressure? You mentioned the burst potential. They did win the engagement, even though it was in garbage time pretty much.
Yeah.
Was there a potential there for them to turn it at all?
I think it would have, if we had another 2 minutes, I think it would have worked, because those 5100s from CPlay were actually on reload like 10 seconds before the 5100s from Schoolbus were, so they would have been able to take them down, use that 10 seconds to catch up and take them down. So I think generally, given another 1.5, 2 minutes, it would have been a win for CPlay in that situation. But then again, just some late reaction from Schoolbus. They just didn't have the tanks in quite the right place, although the 3 did well to deal as much damage as they did.
Oh yeah.
But they just didn't have the tanks quite in the right position and couldn't execute quite correctly to take down Jerrycan and the IS-3. And you have to really give it to CPlay. Keeping the IS-3 back against the offensive going forwards from Schoolbus was a perfect decision, because they were they had to focus the IS-3 down, which has more armor than the 5100, has more HP than the 5100, and also a generally easier tank to play when you want to avoid damage. So that was good positional play by CPlay for sure.
Well, once we do know the next map, I believe it will be Mines actually coming up in just a second's time. We've seen the most infamous and well-known city map now, Himmelsdorf, and I think both teams played it quite well actually. CPlay looking very good to start with, and Schoolbus as well looking proficient. Mines, however, a bit of a different beast, I've got to say. It's not quite the I don't know, it seems very decisive towards certain teams. Some teams do very well, some don't really find their strength here. Why do you feel that is?
Well, you've got to push onto the hill, haven't you? And that's a very hard move. We saw Na'Vi at the grand finals, and they did very well to actually win from the south. I think they actually won every game from the south, maybe apart from one, which is surprising because the north can get up the hill, let's say 5 seconds faster than from the south, so you can get the higher ground, and everyone knows how key and important the hill is. Since really the days of when Mines was called Pogorki or hills or whatever. So that's definitely a thing to keep in mind. From the north, you can get the hill a lot quicker. From the south, you have a little bit of a harder time, but you're not going to take damage unless you actually play stupidly, which is a very important thing. It's not like once the other team has the hill, you can just take damage full stop. You still have to play some risky stuff to actually get damage, but indeed the next map will be mine. So I'm wondering what CPlay has in mind here. We've seen the meta change a little bit. For instance, the 416 was cut up towards the north in that like hill area, that plateau, and just get the shots onto tanks pushing into the hill. But that's a question for us to find out in the near future.
Yeah, so I want to kind of look at what we saw on the first map and try and apply it to maybe the second, because I'm not sure what to take from it or where we can kind of put our predictions towards, because we saw a very Himmelsdorf strategy when it came to it. It was very to the letter. But who do you think maybe has the better advantage here? On this map specifically, from what we saw
I just haven't seen a lot of CPlay. It's hard to call a team when you just haven't seen it as much as you've seen others. Schoolbus I would have to give it to, because I've seen them before and I've seen what a competent team they are. But again, CPlay looking strong, looking well practiced, looking well oiled. Obviously lacking experience, which is what Schoolbus has, and that's really where they have to lie. Where they have to bet their cards at the end of the day.
Well, what sort of tank choices are we seeing so far? I'm not sure if they're actually making their full picks just yet. Still a couple of seconds or minutes or hours to go until they do that. We'll find out in a moment's time, obviously. They're still new to the format, they're still new to the system, so there is a little bit of smoothing to be done there, I think. With the teams obviously getting them all up on par, because obviously CPlay are new to this completely. Dr. Tour's been around, but in this format it's a little different, so bear with them. But tank picks, what's the best way to play a safe tank choice in this?
From the south, I would take a 5100. Pershing, maybe a T32, and obviously an AMX 1390. You don't want to really going for that hill. A couple of AMX 1390, I would say, and maybe a T69. So those are your 5 tier A heavy tanks. From the north, just go for AMX 1390s all through and through. T32 for armor or a Pershing or something like that, which has got the hull down ability. So just depends if you start from north or south, really.
Okay, well, I think we're now moments away, hopefully, from getting underway here. And once again, as Melly let you know out there in the wonderful world of Twitch, do get your predictions through to us via Twitter, via Facebook, via all the usual ways. And obviously, you can tweet to myself at @TheCoinPansy and LaughterWOT with what you think of CPlay. That's what I want to hear from you guys. Or how do you think Schoolbus is doing with the new edition of Arclit at the helm? Previously a man who probably was the second in command, let's say, a man with a certain bit of respect to what his opinion was, but now in control. What are your thoughts? Has Arclit stepped up? Has it made Schoolbus look a little bit more dangerous? Let us know your thoughts there. Obviously, tweet through to ourselves and obviously get involved. We like hearing from you, because we're talking nonsense for ages. I think both teams are ready. And we can get into game nice and quickly. But your predictions on this one, you said this was going to be a close game to start with. It was a draw. And then you said Schoolbus would start taking it. Do you stick with that?
I think I'm going to stick with it. I just have confidence in Schoolbus, and without Stalker at the helm, I think they want to be proving themselves that they can actually perform without Stalker. I think that is a major factor here. Just speaking to the team captains and just the players, I think they want to prove to themselves that Stalker wasn't the key element in Schoolbus.
Well, now we are live into the game here, and in the north, in blue, it's going to be CPlay, and in the south, in red, it's going to be Schoolbus. So.
Yes, we got quite an interesting set of tanks for both teams. I would say pretty standard. How we got for Schoolbus, double AMX 1390, AMX 5100, T32, T32 times 2, I guess that's not so standard. And for CPlay, we got the AMX 5100, T32, triple AMX 1390, double tier 1. So CPlay are indeed going to be going for that hill at the beginning, which is fair enough. You take the triple 5100 for the speed. And then the T32 just for that kind of counter damage, and obviously the 5100 there as well for a bit of damage for your own. But generally, I would have to give it to Schoolbus. I think they have, with the double T32, a very competent, a very standard, strong, heavily armored, decent damage lineup.
Well, let's see that in action. We are seeing the first couple of spots coming in right now, and we will see if they can do any of the damage. Dead zone there is already up on the hill, so as we now know, CPlay do have the ability to get there nice and quickly, but can they deal with what might be pushing towards them? Ruster, previously a very important player, especially on that first map that we saw, was able to do some great damage from the hill, but Still not too much of a straight-up factor yet, but we have seen Applewell pushing in towards on that hilltop, being spotted out by Vector here. Good work from him, so already unraveling the school bus plan to an extent. But whether or not they can find any sort of movement from this, we're yet to see, because now it's the game of how does Schoolbus crack CPlay, and it's almost very similar to the first time around on Himmelsdorf. CPlay were very well set up in this lockdown position, and now we're going to have to wait and see if it actually comes down to this, once again the deadlock afterwards, and then the hunt for those tier 1s.
Yeah, it's really going to be the question how Schoolbus can take the hill. How can they actually make an impact onto the hill? If that's possible for them, you're gonna have to use the T-32s, use that armor, use that firepower, use that HP they've got, and maybe in conjunction with the MX-3090s, like we saw that inspirational move from Na'Vi, which actually won them the grand finals, sending the MX-3090s behind the T-32 so they didn't get spotted. Obviously tanks act as solid objects, so you can't spot through them. So any tank behind the tank will not be spotted, only the tank in front. So that's extremely good stuff, and you've got to remember that stuff when you're playing the game in general. If it's a random battle over it's 742, it doesn't really matter. It all counts for something. But I think CPlay have to make the first move, maybe try and get some damage into Arclit. They've got 3 3090s so they can rotate, say 2 off the hill and go for Applewell onto the island. I think that might come into play. Also got the 2 tier 1s, maybe head around, try and get some spots off. And when they get the spots, you can do the damage with the MX-3090s on the hill.
We'll have to wait and see if that comes into play, because so far we've not actually seen a shot fired just yet. Still slowish game in that aspect. Nervax just toying back and forth with Arclit, but I highly doubt Arclit's just going to walk into this without a plan behind him. So we'll have to see if he can handle it. And obviously he is playing quite an important tank this time as well, so you don't want to go down and you don't want to kind of mess up too early on. Jerrycan playing a little bit further back than I'm used to seeing. Normally heads up to that rock, I feel, for maybe a little bit more aggression, but Shanish does peer over, gets a good connection towards Jerrycan, and he's going to have to be a little bit more cautious now.
Yeah, so he's down to 1-2-1-4. Good shot there by Shanish in the T-32. And maybe that's going to be the game, but Shanish does take a bit of damage, and so does Arclit from the MX-3090. Shanish in trouble. Yeah,
those 3090s rolling in a pack of 3, taking Shanish down desperately low. There's the killing blow coming through. Beautifully done in the end there by Dead Zone, Nervax and Ruster, working as a hit squad almost. Brilliant stuff, and they've done damage. They're going to back away, reset the fight, and I think that's surprised Schoolbus a little bit.
that was like shooting swamp rats in with my P52 or whatever it was. Arclit takes a little bit of damage there, down to 3-3-1, but Applewell and Armley now on the rotate onto the hill with the 2 MX-3090s, knowing that CPlay's MX-3090s are reloading. What can they do?
Well, let's find out. The Dead Zone, Ruster and Nervax trying to be careful here, trying to play smart with this one. But Applewell isn't far away. They've caught a glimpse of him. Armley comes round too. And there's the swan dive together down the hill. Dead Zone and Ruster backing away. Nervax is still up there, and I'm not sure if they've actually spotted him out, but it's a well-known position. Surely they will. You can see the fire has continued from the likes of Jerrycan, trying to keep him busy, but Nervax playing it smart, playing it carefully, and he might actually be able to catch out Applewell. Oh, silly me. How would I ever think that Applewell would be called out? But the further fire does come through, and he's in a little bit of trouble, and Armley might need to bail him out soon.
That was the T-32 on the hill, great, AMX-5100 on the hill. The kills are doing some great covering fire. He hasn't really come into the game. Applewell had to get unspotted before he could rotate around. You can see how much damage Schoolbus has taken. Applewell down to 485, Arclit 750, and Live for Surf down to 1051. I think Jerrycan unluckily took a little bit too much damage. He could have actually done a lot more damage with the tanks going onto the hill, the likes of Live for Surf and Arclit, but better to be safe than sorry if anything else, as Dead Zone does get spotted there in the MX-3090. So does Ruster. This could be a little bit of a mistake from CPlay, because Schoolbus are on the hill. They will be able to get the crossfire, and Dr. Tor does get caught out in that tier 1, but Applewell probably has to reload, but Live for Surf might be there for the backup.
Yeah, and let's bear in mind the Killzor has moved off the initial position, I believe, or Jerrycan's fallen back with him. They're now rolling as a pair this time around, and let's see if those 3090s can play this one smart enough. You have seen the appearance of Live for Surf. Shells coming through. Nervax just about dodged it, but Live for Surf has received a good reply coming through so far, so there's a good exchange, and I feel CPlay is actually leading this game at the moment.
That was Darkilzo once again providing the backup with the 5100, just doing so much damage onto the side of Live for Surf. And once Schoolbus look one way, they get countered from the other way from CPlay at the moment, just bouncing back and forwards using those AMX 1390s as kind of wolf packs. And now you can see the attention of Schoolbus is towards the right side, and this is going to allow CPlay to head into the middle, but Arclit is just on the rotate. This could be a bad move for them, but they are playing it safe. They're not going to go for the full push. This could be very, very hard push for them, but they are going to go for it.
Well, 3 minutes and 28 seconds left. They are moving in. Killzor being right at the front of this. Ruster will be pushing forward as well. Fire comes through. They're not having the best of ways to start this off, but let's bear in mind, Schoolbus are low. Live for Surf takes another shell. Killzor being focused, but Arclit down low. Armley comes through, however. We are seeing the tanks being taken away from Schoolbus, but the further push comes out. Nervax splits to the left. He's found by Armley. Armley in a 1v1 now. Nervax moving in. Armley's in trouble, and this could go either way. Armley left on nothing, but here we go. Nervax finally lands the shot, but it's Applewell now surrounded by the opposition. Surely not going to be able to escape.
Oh, that was beautiful play from CPlay right there. Just setting all their tanks onto the hill and coming on the rotate, getting the focus fire right. Very, very hard to do. And what was really impressive about that is that they just didn't push up all the way. They made sure they took down Arclit before they did anything else. And you have to remember, without taking down that tier 32, it can still get a lot of damage down. Dead Zone is going to take down Applewell with no problems at all. Well, maybe a couple of problems since he missed it a little bit, but Applewell will be going down fairly shortly, and now CPlay just have to get a couple of tanks into the cat to make sure that they get the win, and obviously spread the rest of the tanks around the map to get the rest of the tanks.
Well, Applewell's not done just yet. He can actually take down the Dead Zone here. One more shot does it.
Oh.
Applewell's done the job. And, well, it's a little bit of
4 HP.
It's a surprising factor here, but obviously the cap is underway. 33 seconds left here. I'm not sure. I don't think this can happen, but I can never write out Applewell, even if he's got 4 HP.
He's so lucky. 4 HP left. I think Dead Zone will be very annoyed by that performance right there, and maybe a couple of shells missed didn't help at all. The kills are getting spotted on the cap, but even with the low HP on the kills, he's pretty much the only one left who can do some damage. Rustar does take down Dark God Sim there, so it does make it harder for Schoolbus to get on the rotate and recap, and Applewell does go down, leaving only positive left, and he's a little bit too far away. I believe Schoolbus just got schooled.
Pretty much how it went down. It will be CPlay walking away with the advantage, and what a brilliantly played out game. Leading the place, you know, literally leading everything towards that game. I'm rather impressed.
I'm rather impressed as well. Ruster, 2.2k damage there in the MX 3090. Impressive considering one shot does only 240, so good stuff from him, carrying his team nicely. Applewell, the man of the match for Schoolbus, doing 2.1k in his MX 3090, so impressive stuff all round. I have to say though, CPlay being a brand new team to the season and taking a map away from Schoolbus, very, very impressive stuff. And you know, a couple of things I want to mention about their play. Yeah. I think the Killzor did a good job with the 5100, making sure that he maybe didn't do that much damage,
but the damage he did was very important.
The damage he did is very important, and also he kept the pressure onto Schoolbus because they knew they couldn't put a toe out of line without taking damage from the plateau. That allowed CPlay to go towards a village. Once they went towards a village, they could rotate it back around with the AMX 5100 and the T32 and go for that hill push, which was so brave, because when you actually push on the hill, you're having to push over like a little. It's
like a lip, isn't it?
A little lip, exactly, a little lip where the T32s can do a lot of damage. So very impressive sniping and generally good stuff from them. Next map will be Cliff.
Well, I'm not sure what to expect from Cliff, but I've got to say it. This team looked actually pretty damn formidable at times. I'm a little bit impressed, and it literally was them being quite smart in the way they played. They had a plan, they stuck to it, and everything fell into place, and they caught out Schoolbus. Now, whether or not you can say that Arclit's leadership may be slightly more, short-sighted, it may not be as on point as, let's say, it previously was, but, they fell into CPlay's trap throughout, and it worked out very well for CPlay. But can they do it again on this map? This is the question.
Let's hope they have a plan for this one as well, which is as brilliant as their previous one. And, seems like maybe they are a team which likes these hybrid maps. We'll have to see what happens when we head towards Ruhenberg and Ensk if we do get to it. Because obviously those are city maps, and what we've seen from CPlay on city maps so far is Himmelsdorf. They haven't really gone aggressive. Not sure exactly what to do there. Maybe they got in their getting their tactics still sorted out for that one. Very hard to come up with something brilliant on Himmelsdorf because everything has been tried and tested. It's more about refining your team as anything else.
Well, this is certainly a brilliant starting point for these guys. I can't wait to see what else they can bring. And CPlay, not with the easiest game either to begin with. Certainly a very hard game to start with, facing off, against someone who's been consistently top 3 throughout the entire season. So I'm not sure what to expect from them now. And well, we can only wait and see here. Cliff, where's your predictions on this?
It's worrying me now because 50-50, I have to say, with the way CPlay is playing. Obviously, at the beginning, I said Schoolbus because I know them as a team and I know the players are extremely proficient. But hard work seems to be paying off. And
I don't think mine was a cheesy tactic, was it? It wasn't just
a cheesy tactic.
Well played. So if they can keep something similar to that, I'm not sure if you could execute something like that on this map, though.
Yeah, it's going to be hard because it does often come down to the brawl in the middle on this map. So often this is about player skill, and I hate to say it, but CPlay may have a little bit of problems there.
Yeah.
Maybe not player skill, but more synergy. These guys have been playing together for a while, but they've had a lot of roster changes. So whereas Schoolbus is pretty much still the same players, still pretty much the same guys. Indeed, very, very strong. So when it comes down to the firefight in the middle, the T69s and the Pershings, the MX39s may have a little bit more synergy, may be able to get the damage down and not take so much damage. So all those questions come to mind, but this is a team that has to prove itself, and those questions are only answered with raw results. And obviously Cliff is going to feature many more times, so they've got to win it at some point.
Yeah, well, we are now a couple of picks away, obviously, of them picking up the tanks from getting into the third map here. First one was a draw, second did go CPlay's way, and now we're on to Cliff. Now, so far we've had pretty much polar opposites almost. We had the most city-like map and one that's quite open, maybe not like your steps or something along those lines, but still quite open map. Cliff, fairly open, I'm not sure what we can make of it. Does it fall into a completely open map here, or is there a little bit more kind of route and kind of, to me, a lot of the city maps have a played out plan that kind of give you these options. Whereas the open map, it is literally open down to the teams. Where does Cliff sit in that?
I actually think it sits more towards the city maps because it has got so many, key locations. Egypt's got the pyramids, whatever. It's more about just what locations on the map are important. What can you do around those locations, and that's what city maps have as well. If you look at the heat maps for everything, VBaddict.net, it's got all the heat maps for the tanks. You can see that a lot of the maps have sections which are very, very hot. A lot of players are there, and it's the same with Cliff. You have the big old lighthouse in the middle. That's where most of the tanks are. You got the bottom zone. Yeah, you got some noobs going towards there as well, unless it's like a rush or something. And then you got the kind of the smaller little child version of the big lighthouse rock, which also tanks like to sit around a little bit. But we've got all our tank lineups. We're going to quickly jump through them. We've got triple MX1390 for CPlay, double T69, double tier 1, triple MX1390, double T69, double tier 1. So mirrored lineup from both teams. Maybe not so unexpected. This is considered to be the stronger setup. We're not going to go for a lucky cracky kind of like a heavy tank-esque lineup because it just isn't as strong in my opinion. It's very hard to play that.
So, welcome to the game. This is obviously the third map we're coming into, but currently Schoolbus not really making an impact just yet. First map didn't go their way. It was drawn out in the end. CPlay picked up the second. So, in the north in blue, it will be CPlay currently leading this one, and Schoolbus in the south in red, trailing behind. But what are we seeing so far from these guys?
So, Schoolbus heading up towards the middle with most of their tanks. Armley and Apoel going first in the double MX1390, and pretty much just followed by the rest of the teams. Does depend upon where you spawn, how fast you get to, whatever locations. But AMX39s will just about be reloaded in about 2 or 3 seconds, so they should be okay. Will CPlay be able to get the cross on, because they are doing the same kind of thing? Apwow has to take a little bit of a diversion because of some miscommunication with Armalee there.
Well, Nervax, Dead Zone, Ruster, all in position now. First couple of spots have come through, but obviously Ruster just has to be a little bit careful here. He can't get called out too early on. Alright, now he does get a good connection towards Shanish. Nervax isn't far away either, so we could be seeing Schoolbus in a little bit of trouble here. Who's got the better position, do you feel?
I think they've got standard positions depending upon the map. I have to say the North I prefer to play, because you can see that at this stage of the map it's very easy to do damage and not take damage. You can see Shanish is already down to 905, but Dead Zone, a little bit of misplay from him, he's down to 854, but generally that's a better position for CPlay to be in, because the T69 has more HP, 1250 compared to 1100, so they are ahead at this point in terms of the HP, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. And you can see that that for Schoolbus, you have to use every single piece of cover you can, and they're not ideal. The cover's not big enough, so you can't put more than one tank behind it, and you have to really aim all your guns up towards the lighthouse to counter any tanks that are pushing up over there and trying to get sneaky shots onto you. But as we go through the game, once you're over that hill, there's so much cover between you and the base. The rocks, you can sit behind the bushes, and it makes it a lot easier going forwards towards, you know, the later tanks. The tanks are sitting back a little bit.
7 minutes 41 seconds on the board currently. Our time left here, and CPlay not against playing passive games. We've seen them playing fast, we've seen them playing slow. So, you know, shot going through from Nervax there towards Arclit, just testing him, but Nervax has to back away. Armalee's shown his face now. Armalee came around for the shot, but he could be in trouble. The Killzor and co have found him out, and actually Armalee has to back away this time, but oh, the crossfire is coming through. So Armalee now in a bit of trouble.
Armalee also gets his turret ring damage there, so he can barely turn it, as you heard it. But yeah, he's not going to really be worrying about that too much. He can still turn it. It's not completely busted. So he probably won't be blowing a repair kit on that one as we go through. But it will make his firefighting abilities a little bit harder, so maybe sniping will be the best option for him. But damage really starting to slide into the favour of CPlay. Armalee down to 550. That's exactly half HP for the MX-3090. Shanish, as I said before, 905, and Arclit on 1152. But Nervax, Ruster, I think, actually just took a shot there down to 849. So bit of back and forth. CPlay probably feeling a little bit confident, although Schoolbus have come up with the idea so far. Armalee on the push, didn't expect to get spotted out so quickly, and Dr. Tor did a good bit of damage there with a 20mm spiner. So CPlay,
yep.
Damage, Schoolbus, ideas. I think that's how this game really breaks down.
Yeah, and I'm curious looking at Schoolbus here. You know, when actually, no, let's take it from CPlay's kind of point of view. Actually, when CPlay went on the aggression, they did brilliantly. We saw it on Mines. That was absolutely picture perfect. Now we saw them on the first map. They looked a little bit not rusty, but a little bit lackluster at times. They sat back. They played that smart, which is what we expected, but we didn't see much more than that. So I'm not sure if I feel I like their, you know, passive play. I like their game-leading play, and I feel as though this map is playing a little bit out like Himmelsdorf right now.
Yeah, but it would be stupid for them to give up an advantage, and they have an advantage with the HP. It's just a matter of finding Armalee on the low HP and take him out as quickly as possible. Obviously, they don't want to start afresh by having to take down a tank on full HP already, but the rotate now coming out of Schoolbus, not exactly sure what they're doing, but Arclit heading back, Live for Surf heading down, and Shanish also starting to look over towards that direction. And in general, Schoolbus probably looking for that push up this place. I mean, look at this, F1, F2. You can see Armalee's there, Positive's there, and then you got the push up around and across, and I think that's what they'll be looking towards. Whether it'll work, because Armalee did take a lot of damage when he tried that, or maybe just push up towards the cap, and we'll have to wait and see. But 4 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, still plenty of time to do it.
Yeah, and the first people who had really noticed anything towards that. Actually, there's not that many people really keeping much of an eye on that side of things. Obviously, it's not exactly a long rotate, but, you know, Schoolbus could do some damage here. I don't like CPlay's reactive game style now. I like it when they take charge. I think they have great potential when they do that, but I'm not sure if I like their sit back and play this kind of waiting game because, as you mentioned, they have the advantage. Why not use it rather than give a chance for Schoolbus to start leading that pace? Positive, however, has been spotted out, so this time only in a tier 1, so not as vital, but still, don't give him give away too much right now.
Yeah, there are a couple of blind shots going over towards Positive's general direction where maybe he'd stopped in a bush, but he's going to sit up behind here. And he probably got spotted out there by Dr. Toy, who did get spotted earlier, so Schoolbus will know roughly in what direction he is, maybe in what bush he is. So they're not going to be too worried. That's why they can send Live for Surf and Applewell up to join Positive. Where they get spotted, I'll have to wait and see. But so far, so good. And whether, as you said, CPlay has that reactive game style, which is a completely different different game style than pushing forwards. You know, it's a different skill set.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. And certainly at this point in time, they're not in the right positions. Although maybe they could collapse onto some low HP tanks of Schoolbus if they did catch on to the fact that Schoolbus were in a different part of the map.
Well, I think they spotted out a couple of tanks towards the northwest of the map, hence why Dead Zone is heading over that way, which is the likes of Positive, but whether or not be a fake play, because now Dead Zone's receiving damage and he doesn't even know where from. I think he's finally worked out it might be Armely letting those shells fly, but still, I feel as though CPlay are being caught out a little bit here by the play. Armely does receive a shell, so needs to be careful here, Armely. And CPlay do firmly have the advantage now in this situation, but you can see on the minimap the occasional dots appearing of the opposition, which is Armely, Zim as well, both showing up. Liv, the Surf and Applewell have been spotted, but Nervax is in trouble. He's trying to back the hell up. Armely's shell does not connect. I don't know how this man's alive. Finally, the second shell will come in, but Nervax can't get away fast enough. You can see the others in his team trying to help him out, but actually, they've been cornered in. They're not in the best spots, and this is what makes me worry when they play this game, but is it too late to make a move?
Well, Armely has got to be careful. It's not too late. It's never too late. 2 minutes is still plenty of time to do it, but whether Rust is going to be able to stay alive, so many tanks down. The kills are now in trouble.
Yeah, he's being moved in on right now. You can see the shells coming through. Live for Surf's found him, but the Killzor's not going down without a fight. He's going to take down one, but Applewell, we saw he could do it 4 HP. Does bounce the shell there, so Killzor staying alive another second. Can he get away? Dead Zone might be coming around the back to try and support Jerrycan doing the same. Jerrycan's on the rotate around the back. They pincered Applewell in. Applewell's now in trouble himself. This could go terribly wrong for Schoolbus. Their plan's unfolding. Jerrycan does get the kill and still maintains a fantastic amount of HP. But the question being, can the others stay alive? Can this really go CPlay's way here?
Well, Arclit still got quite a lot of HP. Well, Shanish Arclit only 1 HP different. Positive Dark Gods in. We don't really have to worry about them. And they're also going to be on reload, but that incredible kill onto Armely did give CPlay away, and Positive does get spotted out there, and so does Arclit, but the Killzor, he will get focused on by Arclit now.
Let's see if that's going to make much difference. The Killzor is dealing with the damage. He's going to take down the tank in front of him. This is unbelievable. Shanish now, it's his turn to be punished for all of his sins. As 51 seconds left is enough time for them to do this, but can they make the moves fast enough? That's the bigger question now. The Killzor is out on a limb. Shanish now can make these shots. The shell does not connect, but Jerry can here. Now left to save the day. Ruster coming in from the side as well. These guys could do this. They just need to get the timing right here. Jerry can trying to find out where the opposition are, and do you think there's enough time for CPlay to pull this one off?
I'm not sure. 25 seconds is a very short amount of time, and Dark God's in, scampering up the hill like a coward, and not giving CPlay the satisfaction of this win at all. I think it's going to be a draw. Shanish might actually go down, and Victor's still onto Jerrycan.
Well, Shanish now is pretty much battling between these two. 8 seconds left. They'd still have to find that tier 1. This is seconds away from a draw. Shanish goes down, but I don't think they know where Zim is, and they need to make the shot in the last couple of seconds. It's not going to happen. It will be a draw, but very close game nonetheless.
Oh, the joys of the tier 8 point rule. But, you know, it does it does allow, for instance, CPlay to push in that situation. A couple of mistakes. But I think at the end of the day, that was almost always going to be a draw because of Dark God Zim's position on that hill at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, he's sitting right at the top of that lighthouse. It takes ages.
It's not going to be an easy push-up.
And Victor actually got killed going up there, so he couldn't go anywhere.
Were they even aware of where he was? I don't think they were completely.
No.
I know they could probably guess, like, okay, well, it's the best place to go if we were in this position, but I don't think they even knew really where he was. But let's kind of break that down moment by moment as to what happened there, because it looked like the initial game went in favour to CPlay, just the damage-dealing roles that they seemed to take on. They got a good chunk of damage done. I think it was Armley and Arclit just received a bit of damage there. And then it was actually Schoolbus who made the move. Now, was that a mistake, or was that them trying to set the pace back in their favour?
It was a bad move in general. I don't think they expected Nervax in that T69 to be in the right position. He was, simple as that. He did so much damage against Apau, try to run out of there. In general, I think Schoolbus certainly seemed to be lacking that clairvoyance which they had with Stalker. Pushing around the bottom's always risky because you don't have the kind of map dominance, the map control, also the higher ground, and they're getting punished by Dark Ilzor there quite painfully. Armley as well, I think that was the most important thing. Armley, he was so far up and he had so little HP, he had 113 HP. Him going down was a difference between Schoolbus winning that engagement and losing it, because he could have just provided firepower once the rest of the team was distracted. But because he was taken down by Ruster, it was pretty much game over. But luckily for them, they managed to get that tier 1 in the right position. The next map will be Ensk, our 4th map in. Obviously, we do hit that 5 map mark. It will be CPlay's game because they are 1-0 up.
Yep, so we'll have to wait and see how this one goes through and what tanks we'll be seeing and what choices will be made. So far, I think, personally, I've preferred the way CPlay play. I like it when they take the initiative, though. I feel as though they kind of lose a little bit of their potency when they kind of sit back and play the more, I don't know, defensive game. I'm not such a fan of it in their hands, and you know, they looked so good on the first map. Do you think they might do it on Ensk here? Because it's another city-ish map, but they played quite passively on the one we saw.
Yeah, I think what CPlay lacks at this point in time is knowing when to push. They've got the tactics, they've got the brilliance in their team, you can see it, but they haven't got quite the timing done correctly. I think in both situations, a couple of minutes earlier, and they would have been able to wrangle out a win. And that's where they have to work on that as they go through the season, through the 11 match days we've got. And I think they will eventually get that down, and certainly looking to be a top team. But Ensk, it's not really a map about timing, in my opinion. I think it's such a small map, being 600 per 600 meters. It's very hard to run away a tier 1 and have it live. You know, you could run away a 5100, which has enough HP to take a few shots here and there. But with a tier 1, which just takes one shot from pretty much any tank apart from a tier 1, it's very hard to get it away and actually having it live. But in terms of lineups, 3 5100s, 2 i3s, 2 tier 1s is going to be the standard, I imagine, for this map. As I said before,
yeah, I don't think there's much variation.
Yeah, Wargaming has already publicly stated that 9.0 series, which is pretty much the series for 2014, will be more a series of gameplay and graphical and just general environment and feeling kind of thing, as opposed to where 8.0 was. They added so many Chinese, Japanese. They had loads and loads of tanks, which is good. But you know, I am always a guy who believes in gameplay and the way the game feels and looks.
It's so important.
It's more important because I think a lot of people start playing games because they enjoy whatever the element is. So I started playing World of Tanks because I like tanks, because I'm just, you know, whatever. I like tanks. I like big machines. But then you start playing the game because you enjoy it as a gameplay.
Yeah, it's the environment I think around you, yeah.
Exactly. I think it's very, very important. So I think for this season we won't be seeing too many changes in tank lineups. I think, you know, those 10 tanks we usually see will be the standard.
Well, not much said from the teams right now. Hopefully we can get an update as to what's going on with those guys, as we like chilling with you guys at home, but obviously it's nice to know that the teams are still out there. And your predictions on this, you said overall that Schoolbus will win, and they don't really have much of a chance of that now. They can only really draw it overall, I guess. Do you think this is a map they can do that on?
Yeah, I think I think they have the potential. On Himmelsdorf, as I said before, they just didn't look so confident on that city map. Hopefully they have a plan for this city map. Whether that's going to be a good plan or a bad plan, obviously we'll find out in the next 10 minutes. But I think hopefully they have a plan, and hopefully it can execute it properly. Obviously execution is often half the plan. It counts for a lot, but Schoolbus have been one of the stronger teams on Ensk. I think it's probably one of their favourite maps, and it's going to be hard for CPlay to break that.
It certainly will be, but it would prove a point, wouldn't it, if there's going to be a moment to do it on, to come into your first game of the first play day and do this to a very well-known team. Very impressive stuff. So we are seeing the tank picks, or well, the pre-made tank choices coming through. So hopefully we'll be in game as soon as that's done. But once again, guys at home, we do ask you, make sure to tweet through to us at @TheCallMePansy and at LaughterOT with your ideas of how this has gone down. Do you like the new addition of CPlay in here? Have they been playing to your expectations? Or maybe Arclit's command has slipped, now in control of Schoolbus, previously known as Doomtest. And I'm curious to know what you guys are thinking. Obviously, do let us know, as you can see there down below. But I think CPlay have this. And what do you think that sort of message is going to send to the rest of the teams here? Because, you know, if I was watching this map, and I'm sure all the other teams are, because they want to keep, you know, on top of what's going on, but would you assume that Schoolbus is weak, or would you assume that CPlay is strong?
I would assume that CPlay is strong and well practiced right now. I think it's pretty obvious to me. Whether Schoolbus is weak or strong, I don't know. I haven't been so impressed with their Go4 results recently. They just haven't been hitting that top 16 or top 8 so much as they did before, and you know, battling out for first, second, third place like usual. But Schoolbus, with Stalker, who was such a strong personality in that team, being removed, it's very hard for the body that is that team to adapt. You know, it's an ecosystem in a team, and you remove big part of that ecosystem, regardless if it's good or bad. It's gonna
make a change.
It's gonna make a change,
yeah.
which is hard to deal with, but I think they will do, and you can still see the old play style in that team is still there. So I think they will settle a little bit and become their normal selves.
Yeah, and it's just the brand new start of the season as well. They're finding their footing here, and I think we all need to remember that. So I'm hoping everything's ready. They look like they're about to get underway, and we can give them a nudge. And if I can type in the right places, it's it's difficult.
It's hard.
It is difficult. You know, normally we'd have a product manager help us with this sort of stuff, or an admin. They're both the same to me. But you know, I think he's gone home to chill out, which is cool. It's always nice, you Steve. Shouting you out, buddy. But hopefully the teams are ready now. Maybe the admins could do their job, but you know, that's always up in the air. And we'll get underway. I currently believe that CPlay will pick up the victory here. I think they're on the verge of it. Therefore, after such, you know, a surprising result, I think they'll be on a high point. They'll be like, okay, yes, let's get this done. I'm really hoping that is the case. But Schoolbus, experienced team, and that experience may kick into place on this final map here in this best of 5, going all the way, and we are now moments away from getting to game since the admin decided to wake up.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if we should actually be playing this map, but we might as well, because obviously the
draw points.
Yes, draw points do exist.
See, now this is where clarification would be good, but I think we can kind of then safely say that that's not what we're watching, but I wish it was. Woo! It's one of those days, ladies and gentlemen. We're seconds away from going to the game, and we'll see how this one goes. It'll be Schoolbus against CPlay. I think we're just going to play out the last game. But in theory, this has already been won by CPlay.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm not sure why they're playing this game, but
I don't think they're too aware of
in the rule book. It does say that you get +1/+1 for a game, so in theory, it's CPlay's game, and they should not really be playing this. But who cares? We'll just carry on.
Well, tanks. We like tanks. We get to watch tanks. I am fine with this. So, ladies and gents, do you know what?
Or maybe not. Maybe not. We should be playing this game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, normally let's look at it this
way. We're not
way.
admins, so
we are going to give you extra tanks if possible. How about that? So you're getting a little bit of a bonus here. So
yeah, they should be playing this game. We've had clarification. That's not bad.
Think?
Yeah, they should be playing. As a draw is 0 points, so this is just going to be the last final map, pretty much, going through. So interesting stuff from the start of Schoolbus. but maybe a little standard, a little bit more aggressive. Shanish going forwards in the 5100, Apwao in the background with the 5100, surging forwards, and De Kills are there on the side. Also got spotted out. Novak's taking the first shot down to 978 there in the 5100, so he's got to be a little bit careful. But CPlay are playing pretty aggressive going forwards. The kills are taking another big shell there, finally taking some damage though. He's taken 403 damage down to 1097.
Well, CPlay going for a strange start, using the middle of the map here, not the green zone. I normally see this happening when they get to about this point on your screen, and you can see like just a little bit further forwards by the flag where they apply some pressure, but I very rarely see teams just using this entire area to maybe get some shots off. I feel it's very restricting. Could this be a problem for CPlay, or do you think this is the plan?
It's a plan because they did it from the beginning, but they kind of just cut the map in half, and they've got to be careful because those 5100s have absolutely no turret armor, so they will be penetrated. They can't go hard down on the IS-3. That's going to be a little bit tricky, so they have to make sure they sit behind those train cars and make sure they don't take too much damage, avoid as much damage as possible, don't push too far forwards, dead zone, and doesn't get spotted out. But at the moment, for once, Schoolbus is in the driving seat in terms of HP, but it doesn't always make a big difference. We'll see what they can come up with. But again, you know, CPlay coming up with the plays, trying something a little bit different, innovating, changing the meta, and maybe, just maybe, they're going to take the score up to 2-0 on our fourth map, Ensk.
Well, we'll have to wait and see as Novak's taking his time around the long side, and I'm not sure by CPlay's start there. I feel it could have been really unraveled very quickly, and they still have Jerry Cannon to Killzor here. What do you think the plan is in this one? You know, why is their positioning, you know, in this sort of spot? Is there a technique you think they might fall back to? Is there somewhere they'll take this, or is it just something they're trying out, do you reckon?
It's something they're trying out. They've obviously tried it in scrims and test matches and team modes and all the platforms they have to train on, and it's worked. It's obviously worked, and it's going to be a test against Schoolbus if it works against them. But it's certainly a viable tactic, and it can provide a lot of firepower in the right direction, which is what you want from a map like Ensk. But generally, it's a risky move. As I said, to the 51, we have no hull armor, no turret armor at all. It's tricky stuff from them all around. But you can see Schoolbus are rotating around. The 51 heading, the IS-3 is even heading towards that middle. That's Armley and Arclit. 51 is weighing backwards. Apwal's got to join in. Shanish has got to join in as well. And then they're going to push up probably from the north. A6, A7, A8 is going to be the area where they want to be pushing. But obviously all as a group as opposed to anything else.
And we are seeing movement on both sides here. And it's slightly reminiscent of what we saw in the first game on Ensk. This polarizing play. Let's see if it works out. We're seeing almost two split squads. Seeing one to the northeast, two down the center, and one to the bottom right for CPlay here. And last time we watched it, it was further down to the southwest. Obviously, in like around K1, we saw the team previously pulling that off and putting the other tanks up. But I'm interested to see this is maybe a little bit of a new way of playing this map, or if this is something they might consider, because we are seeing a bit of damage coming through now. Apwao has been found. Killzor and Co are in trouble. They're both falling like flies, and now Jerrycan is left against a massive amount of Schoolbus flooding in towards him. Was this a bad choice?
It looks like it was a bad choice. The IS-3 just couldn't do anything, and Jerrycan didn't manage to actually provide any firepower towards his own team, and Arclit and Armley are just going to be able to do so much damage. Where are the rest of CPlay?
Everywhere but where he needs help right now. Jerrycan is all alone. His teammate fell immediately. Killzor went down. Jerrycan receives another shell. Rust is coming around the side, but he can't get involved unless he wants to change out Arclit first. Then Dark God Zim, obviously just a tier 1, but still another shot. It's not great right now for CPlay, and is there any options left for them?
4 minutes and 30 seconds. It's probably not enough time to draw it, so they've either got to just stay alive for the next 2 minutes, or maybe just come up with something extraordinary. Or Arclit's trying to get in the right position. Jerrycan, Arclit does get punished there a little bit. 581 left on him, but Jerrycan is doing such a fantastic job against Armley. Live for Surf is going to have to try and take him.
Yeah, but look at this dead zone round the side. Oh, he had the opportunity, but fluffs it. And now Nervax is all on his own. They didn't expect the shells to be coming in from the likes of Applewell, and now he's being punished for it. Jerry Can's chance of living has now just been absolutely ripped away as Jerry Can is now surrounded. Ruster is alive, but not for long, and Schoolbus are back in the action, finally playing the game we know they can. Jerry Can, the man who's first in trouble, now last alive, gets taken down, and Schoolbus tie it up in the end, picking up the victory there on Ensk. Very well done to them.
Just nice little heavy tank play for them all around. I've got to give props to CPlay for trying something different, but at the end of the day, it just didn't work, guys. It simply did not work.
It did not seem all that reassuring.
Even with Applewell, who was definitely the crux for that team, 2.3k damage done by him. Yep. Even without him in that position, it would have still been very hard for CPlay to win that engagement around the train tracks when they came around. It would still have been an extremely hard battle for them. It's still 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3 when Ruster came in. So generally, fair enough, but it was a very risky strategy all around. Definitely be going back to the drawing board and Ensk for them. And that does level up the scores to 1-1.
So 1-1 right now. Defining map coming up. Next one on the way. It's going to be Prokhorovka. So I'm not sure about CPlay on this one. Open maps haven't seemed their forte to my taste. But then again, I didn't like their Ensk play just then, actually. I really didn't like it. They took the initiative in a way, but I think we all saw the flaws in that plan from the very offset. So not liking that. But what do you think to this one? How are you feeling about this?
Prokhorovka's been a bit of what can I say? A bit of a strange one lately. It's gone from probably my favorite map to my least favorite map in the map pool. It's been so static and no one's done absolutely anything. It's very hard to play without artillery, I'll give you that. And maybe CPlay has something interesting. It is a very open map, so you can try new tactics and definitely be a little bit more creative than you can on Ensk and Cliff, which is where we've seen creativity come out so far. But yeah, it's going to be a hard map all around for these guys. But
take me through the tank picks we might be seeing here, because it's an open map, it's an open canvas, but some tanks really do come in there into a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's triple 5100s, T32, C69, something around those lines. Probably, it's probably something like that. It's more of a fast map tank. Fast map tank map. It's very easy for you to use an AMX 3090. I mean, I love it when I get this map on my MX 3090. It's so fast, so fantastic, and you can be really dynamic with it. Obviously, it doesn't have the greatest accuracy on the move, which can be hard, because on Prokhorovka you pretty much spend your whole time moving.
You need it.
Yeah, it's precisely.
See, but I look at this map, and even if he's not playing to the let's say strength that I've previously seen, Applewell always a solid player on this side. He's been a bit quiet for my liking. Brilliant on Ensk, but before that, a little bit quiet for Applewell. I feel he's not quite on the point I normally see him at. Do you think that's maybe just he's not into the game yet? It's the first game of the first season, or what do you think's happened there?
Yeah, I think it's the first game of the season with all the changes. But I think Applewell is going to be getting stronger and stronger. I mean, I was impressed with him on Ensk. I think he was on the right part of the right map at the right time. That's important.
He was. His position was perfect.
Yeah, and without stalkers shouting at him and constantly, it's certainly going to help him be a little bit more confident, hopefully. So yeah, I think a lot of the teams that maybe the players that were repressed by Stalker in Schoolbus, maybe going to start showing their personality a little bit more, a little bit more freedom, a little bit more play, certainly. But yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. But it's just one of those things. It's the first match day. As we go through, I think it's going to change and everything's going to be a little bit more lucid and maybe a little bit more down the line at the same time.
Yeah, I'd like to see Schoolbus in the upcoming matches actually and try and check out who they've got upcoming here. So keep the eyes on the teams and I'll have a little look, because obviously this is a weird opponent to begin at, because I don't actually know these guys too well. So they could take it a little bit lightly here. They may not have completely read into it, but actually they've got an interesting way at the moment. They've got obviously CPlay to start with, and they've got Lucky Karaki coming up later, and then Freefall. So they've got actually quite unknown teams to them in a way. If you look towards last season, who they might have played, who they the tactics to get, I'm a little bit curious to see if they could actually do anything here. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of games. They could be in trouble.
Certainly could be. Yeah, whoever does win this one will go 3. So it's going to be a tricky situation. You know, I think CPlay for me are a team that needs to not get too overexcited. They need to make sure that they play their standard tactics as much as they can, and they make sure they don't innovate all the time, because innovation is good, but also it can prove difficult. For instance, it worked a couple of times. Cliff Mines, it worked, but on Ensk it went disastrously, and Himmelsdorf didn't really try anything. So innovation works, but sometimes scrims don't really give you that whole picture, which online competition matches do.
Yeah, there is a big difference, isn't there? You know, teams can be, you know, from one to the other, and it was very true in a couple of other games very recently. So looking forward to see how this one comes about. Obviously, I want to talk about some of the players as well, and who's maybe stood out to you from CPlay so far that you've really liked their game style towards?
I liked Ruster. I think he's actually the team captain, but at the same time he seems to be doing very well in that 50-100 and generally in the high firepower tanks. But it's going to be a question if he can lead the team and also provide the firepower he needs to be doing. So I always say, at some point you just have to put your gun down and just, you know, bite the bullet and take the tier 1 as opposed to be playing those high firepower tanks. I think that's simple as that. You know, but it's a tricky one. I think Ruster maybe has to do some thinking if the CPlay are not doing too well in the mid-season, if he should just step down and look for that tier 1 position. But I can't really call it at this point. It's so early on in the season. The season goes on until the end of July. It's just impossible.
Right, so we are just waiting, obviously, on a little bit of clarification on the rules. Currently, teams discussing it through. Obviously, new season, lots of changes. I mean, these kind of have, you know, these smoothed out, and it's the first day in the first, obviously, new season, and it happens. It's just obviously everyone getting new to it, new teams coming through, new changes, and we'll be. But overall, then, let's look outside of just this game. Let's look at the overall teams that we've seen so far as well. Has there anyone else that's kind of stood out to you as someone to keep your eyes on coming up?
In terms of CPlay, not really. I mean, they all seem pretty consistent, but not really that great, because we haven't seen a lot of them yet. I think it's going to take some time. But yeah, for Lucky Cracky, the previous game, I think Bishu's going to be doing well. Schoolbus, I expect live for Surf. We haven't seen so much from him. I think he's going to have to try and work his way into the team.
I felt he got caught out a couple of times in slightly questionable positioning. I'm not too sold on it yet, but maybe first game nerves as well. We've got to take it slow on that sort of aspect and give them time to warm up in this. So currently tied at 1-1. We are just waiting on the teams to make those final choices and just talk it through as well. Obviously, there's a lot going on here, and we shouldn't be too far away from this. I think everything is now figured out, and the tank choices are coming in. And we were talking about the tank picks and what we could be seeing. You know, what choices do you think we made? Because we haven't seen this kind of all-in strategies. When we have these blind pick abilities or these options up for grabs, you can have like these all-in strategies. We saw the 4 5100s, which not a cheesy strat, but there are possibilities for it. If they weren't going to go surprise here, go now try and deal with this. You know, it certainly could be there. We haven't seen that yet. They're trying to hedge their bets. Is there a possibility that could happen here, or is it going to be a try and play this to cover all bases?
Well, we haven't seen an all-in strategy so far, so maybe it's actually a good time to use it.
It's still early days, isn't it?
You can catch a team off guard with an all-in strategy as long as it's a good, well-executed one and you've got the right tanks for it. Fair enough, but it's still a risky move. Obviously, these teams train for all-in strategies. You know, if you're training, say you have 10 training matches, maybe one or two of those training matches will just be against how are we going to deal with this rush? How are we going to deal with this rush?
Right.
How are we going to deal with this rush? Because it does happen occasionally, and you want to be prepared for it. Exactly.
You've taken so many hours out of people's weeks because of this. Just let
I
know.
have.
You're a bad person. But yeah, hopefully the tank picks will be coming in, and we can start looking towards that. And obviously we can always see the 1390s in here. I think we'll be seeing any T69s to complement it. We normally do, but we some teams took it out of favour and they switched up. Had some 416s. There's a couple of variations we've seen, but what do you expect to see today? What do you think's a good all-rounder here for these teams?
I would take the MX-3090, maybe even the WZ-132. I'm not sure.
It's just got a possibility there. It came into favour a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, in the grand finals we saw it a few times.
Yeah, we did. It did well for itself.
It did well. It was used on mines for that hill push because it's as fast as an MX-3090s, and it's also it's also as good in terms of the damage it can provide. Yeah, it doesn't have the burst because it doesn't have the auto-loading gun, the S3, which is found on the MX-3090, but it does have that real 250 average damage, pump, low reload time, and you can just provide that consistent damage. But the speed and the general maneuverability is the most important thing for that tank. That's why you pick it, that Chinese Tier 8 light tank.
So I think we are just waiting on CPlay to get their choices. Obviously, they were picked previous to now. It isn't, the back and forth. It isn't the way that it used to be, where you'd be able to counter each other's picks. It's this firm belief within your own tank pick choices that are handed in earlier in the day for these maps. So we will have to wait and see what they bring through. See what choices they're making. And do you remember we said all in cheese? This might be one of them.
Yeah, but for Schoolbus, double MX-3090 T32. Triple MX-3090 T32 Pershing double T1, and for CPlay we got probably double MX-3090 triple T69 double T1. That's going to be their lineup. So Schoolbus a little bit more consistent damage with the T32 and the Pershing. Haven't got auto-loading guns, but more speed and more just burst potential from the T69 from CPlay. So I'm actually preferring CPlay's lineup, but it just depends on the situation.
Yeah. Let's see what we've got going through right now. Just waiting on the final picks to be kind of made there, and the other teams to rate themselves up. And I personally think that this could be CPlay's game. I said it on the final map. I didn't like the strategy they ran. I think it was very, I don't know. It didn't have the same kind of feasibility. It was a little bit of an all on a limb kind of feel to it. Didn't like it. Do you think they'll go back to the passive play on Prokhorovka now?
Yeah, I think passive play maybe is a safe bet, but then again, it's going to be a draw if they. Well, one of these two teams will wanting to be winning this one. It's simple as that. They don't want to be drawing it out. There's absolutely no point in that. 1-1 at peace at this point in time. So just go for it. See if you win. It's only the first match today. If you don't, so be it.
Make it up in the other games.
Exactly. You might as well be trying it at the end of the day. You only don't want to be giving away the wins. You don't want to be taking risks towards the end of the when you know what you have to make up.
You must make the choices correct.
Exactly.
Now's the time to be trying these things out, and this all-in T69 play. I'm a little curious for. I'm not sure what we're going to see with this triple T69. What do you think that's going to be used for? Is it the burst damage? Maybe we saw something similar to the 5100s, but with the mobility in position there, or where do we think on actual Prokhorovka that's going to come into play?
Just in the middle. The T69s are very, very important for the middle place. You got those kind of like rocks. Pop your T69s behind them. They can just snipe off. They can get the shots off across. Very good the gun depression. Just get your burst damage down and hope for the best at the end of the day. That's very, very, very important. To deal with that 1,250. That's extremely, extremely strong. But then again, the T32 is picked by Shanish from Schoolbus. So that tank, a lot of HP, as the Americans like to say. T32 no cons. But,
oh Lord, that phrase.
It's I'm not going to talk about it. But T32 no cons. Oh, it has got cons. It's slow, guys. It's goddamn slow. It has got a con. It's slow, but it generally it's a good tank. Good alpha damage, good HP, good armor. Pretty impressive little beast. But we are finally ready to get in game, so you can stop looking at our faces and start looking at the game. And indeed, the final lineup for these two teams: T32 Pershing, triple MX-3090 double T1 for Schoolbus, and for CPlay, it's triple T69 double MX-3090 double T1.
So this will be the final map between these two. It'll be CPlay starting in the south in blue and in the north in red. It's going to be Schoolbus. Now, at the moment, tied 1-1, or any way you want to look at it, this is the final map. And they want the win. Everyone wants to win. Let's be serious here. No one wants to draw. And there's that slightly questionable pick of 3 T69s you see rolling out right here. Jerry Can, Killzor, and Dead Zone championing those. And what sort of start are we seeing coming in for Schoolbus?
Unusually, just heading all towards the village, actually. Kind of reminiscent of what Pro used to do on this map as a little bit. But every single one of the tanks, including the tier 1s, maybe I'd expected the tier 1 to head up the 1 line a little bit, because that's usually where you want to be spotting out a quick counter push or maybe a cap into that area. But nope, Schoolbus all in the village, and for CPlay it's more about the middle of the stand and stuff, and that could be a good thing for them because Jerry can get some early shots.
Yeah, Jerry Can's going for it as well. Shanish is the first person he'll be staring at, but not a lot of damage actually done, and Jerry Can's in trouble. Look at this, and actually this could really turn against CPlay. Jerry Can is now down solo, 1-1-4, oh, perfectly done. Jerry Can is down and out, and actually Schoolbus have come out fighting.
Yeah, Arclit doing some fantastic damage. Shanish Arclit will start being able to get into the game because they don't have those autoloaders, and Jerry Can just getting really, really egotistic with that play, and he got caught out there. And now I think CPlay are pretty much put the nail in the coffin if they didn't do something about this.
Yeah, and you can see CPlay trying to keep them away here, but Nervax is struggling down the end as well in that 1390. He did not expect positive there. And now Dead Zone, look at the battering these guys are taking. The Killzor still trying to hang around, and I wouldn't like my chances against these guys. They are really doing some perfect work for Schoolbus. This is what I expected, but now let's take stock of what's happened so far. What are the options left for CPlay here?
Just reload and hope that Schoolbus make a mistake, because that was disastrous play there from Jerry Can. So egotistical, peeking over one more to try and get a shot. You know, classical Unicom play from him, just peeking over because he got shot, trying to get the shot back, and he got punished for it. Taken down and tier 8 tank down for the side of CPlay, and going to be very, very hard for them to get back into this game, especially because Schoolbus have the right side, they have all that cover they need, maybe put an MX 3090 on the cap, and indeed, pretty much the last thing left for them is that cap.
Well, 43 seconds for this one. There is still all those T69s within the middle here, or at least, you know, there's still the Killzor here, so he'll be keeping eyes on as they roll past. The others will be in trouble though. There's still a player. Positive was back here not too long ago, and actually Nervax has to come around. We're seeing these guys start piling over. Dead Zone trying to find the best possible position, but I don't think this is going to go well for CPlay.
It's going to be a risky move either, but one tank left in that cap. I believe that's Ruster actually, but Armley and Arclit peeking.
Yeah, and Killzor is in trouble. Apoaw's actually pushed all the way around. Killzor receives a shell, one more, and he's going to be down. There we go, Apoaw does the job. Dead Zone, Nervax, Ruster, Dr. Tour, and obviously Vector still going, but I just don't see this going well at all. Dead Zone and Nervax struggling for a way back through here. And well, Ruster obviously in trouble himself as well. I'm not sold with this play, and right now Positive just punishing Ruster even from behind. So not a great day for the CPlay guys in their last game.
No, it's a little bit unfortunate because they have been the better team up until, well, Ensk really, and then they've really just crumbled. Shanish does finally get taken down by Dead Zone in that T69, so good play for them. They got to try and regroup, but now it's going to be a game of cat and mouse for CPlay. Can they run away? Can they get unspotted? They've got to live for 6 minutes and 20 seconds. It's going to be very hard for them, but they still got the options. Armley needs to be taken down, but Arclit, with so much HP left on that Pershing, yeah, it's going to be so tricky for CPlay.
Well, the spot has been made. Ruster trying to get away here. Dr. Tor being spotted out. Arclit is moving in for the kill, as are the others. Dead Zone is now being surrounded. He's trying to focus in on one. You can see the bouncing shells, but that one's going to land. Live for Surf does the job. Ruster and Dr. Tor, the last two alive here against a huge squad of Schoolbus players. Now just Dr. Tor alive. And we know how this one goes. You can't run, you can't hide when the entirety of the Schoolbus is rolling towards you. And there we have it in the last map. Schoolbus turn around and pick up the win. Nice
stuff from Schoolbus. 2-1 and do pick up their first win for Season 4 of the Wargaming.net League Europe Gold Series. So congratulations to you guys. Well deserved, I think. CPlay getting cocky towards the end there on Ensk, just generally a bad idea. I think their tactic just didn't work. Yep. They should have been a little bit more passive. On Prokhorovka, Jerry Can definitely lost it for them there. T69 peeking over too much a little bit, and he just got taken down from the side there from the MX 3090. So yeah, very bad play from them altogether. Inexperienced team, and certainly that just show a little bit from CPlay. But as they go through, that kind of mistakes will start to get worn down, and they definitely will become a more well-oiled machine. And I think we can expect great things. But generally, I think they've been the better team. I think Schoolbus will have some serious thinking to do, considering they have been playing this game for a year in this league, and they've also been playing the grand finals, almost losing to a new team like that, and actually losing at one point. It's gonna beg the questions, you know.
It will. There's going to be a lot of question marks now about the rest of their performance, and can they really compete, or was that just a very good game to begin with? Now, we obviously will be moving towards our next game today after a very short break, which I believe will be Denial against Wusa, if I'm not mistaken. Now, we already know about Wusa. Denial, obviously a lot of changes happening through that lineup, so a lot to be seen there, but your thoughts on that one coming up?
Wusa underperformed at the grand finals. I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with me there. And Denial didn't. As simple as that. They did very well to get the group stages, and you know, played some fantastic games. So my thoughts are on Denial taking that game. Wusa, they'll have to prove themselves against these teams, so they might as well start winning now. So kind of give it their all and see what happens. But Denial without Elian is a team without their main playmaker, so that's going to be a big factor as well to keep in mind.
Well, it's going to be a fantastic game to watch, and it will be coming up very soon. But obviously, you had a little bit of a tidbit earlier. You got to see the beautiful Melly once again. That's what you guys clearly want. You know, we'll be out of the way. We'll take the tanks with us, and we'll just bring her back in. But guys, we're going to head over to Melly in just a second, so do stay tuned. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.